So you're curious about Fate Grand Order, or you just want to know what the Fate series is about. Fate Grand Order is a fantastic entry point into the Fate series and can be a really rewarding experience. What I like about the game is the salacious story, the fantastic fan service, and the wonderful waifus. Before we start, I recommend playing the game at your speed. If you're a power user and you like to min-max, you'll have a blast learning about some hidden mechanics and boosting your account through hard work and guts. On the other hand, if you'd rather collect the cool servants and play for waifus, that's great too. The majority of content in the game is balanced so that accessible, low-rarity servants and a modest amount of effort can clear almost everything the game throws at you. Before you drop everything and become a pro FGO player, let me assert that a free-to-play account is completely viable. Now, let's get into it. This is a fresh install of the game, and I'm going to play through the tutorial really quick. Great, now that all that stupid gameplay is out of the way, we can focus on the true allure of Fate Grand Order, the gacha. If you've never heard the term before, gacha is derived from the Japanese onomatopoeia term for capsule machines called gachapon. Fate Grand Order delivers playable characters to you in the same way that a gachapon machine does. You put in some currency, and then the RNG decides on what new servant or craft essence you get in return. There are two main variants in the gacha, one that costs imaginary points you get for being cool, and one that costs imaginary rocks that you have to pay for. Before you roll in the paid gacha, you should know that the game gives you quite a few of these Saint Quartz for free when you complete certain events. However, you can always choose to buy more with IRL money. This is called being a whale. At your tutorial roll, the game will ask you to Thanos snap your hard-earned Saint Quartz that you spend the last few minutes to earn. That's okay, you want that. This is how you get playable characters called servants. In contrast, the self-insert character that you control is called the Master. I know how it sounds. It's exactly how it sounds. This first roll guarantees that you get at least one 4-star servant from this cast, and it's literally incapable of giving you the highest rarity servants called 5 stars, so don't worry about that too much. Really quick, servants can range from 1-star rarity to 5-star rarity. The Friend Point gacha, the free one, only gives you 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star servants. The St. Quartz gacha, the one that costs cold, hard cash, will reward you with 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star servants. Can you tell which one is more exciting? So here's what my tutorial roll looks like. You probably got different servants, and you may be asking yourself, is this servant any good? Are they worth keeping? Should I do all of this all over again to reroll? The short answer is it's not a big deal. Some servants are better than others, but every servant is useful. If you can't pick a waifu from this roster and you want to reroll, Heracles the Berserker is very strong and can carry your account for a while. Before you reroll, don't forget that the game makes you use another player's servant in every battle. Even if you have a team full of weak nerds that couldn't fight their way through a Holy Grail War set in a bounce castle, there's always a chaperone. In your first pull in the gacha, you probably got some other things that aren't servants. Those are called craft essences, and they're like equipment. Each servant can equip one craft essence, sometimes called CEs, to bolster their stats. Hold on to these for now and don't think too hard about it. What now? I spent all of my rainbow rocks in the money machine and I guess I actually have to play the game? Start with the story. Fuyuki is basically the extended tutorial and you'll have to finish that before you can do any of the fun stuff. Once you're done, I recommend playing through the other story chapters called Singularities. You may have heard about some of the high-quality writing and meme-worthy interactions, and this is where you find them. However, you should know that most players regard the Septum and Orleans chapters as the weakest storylines in the game. The story really picks up, so don't be discouraged if the writing is clunky at first. I recommend reading the story, but you can always use this skip button in the top corner of the screen to zoom through the lame parts and read a summary online later. Once you tap a quest, you'll be prompted to select a support servant. If you look up here, you'll find the class of enemies that you can expect to encounter. Use this information to pick servants from classes that are strong against the enemy class. You can use this handy button to remind yourself of the rock, paper, scissors, dinosaur, laser beam, knife fight that is class advantages. Pick the prettiest support servant, and then just fill the rest of the team with your own servants. When selecting a support servant, it's best to just pick the one that's the highest level until you're more familiar with each servant and their usefulness. When you complete a quest, you'll see a slew of screens that attempt to barrage you with more information than you can comfortably process. This first one shows you how much your servants like you, the second one shows you how strong your master is, and the third one shows what stuff you found on the ground while your servants were doing all of the fisty punching and beating up those skeletons for their lunch money. If you ever see a special, different looking quest on your home screen, that's probably a special event. You should prioritize these over the story because events will last between 1 and 2 weeks and will reward you with some great in-game materials. Each event has its own unique story and are much more lighthearted than the singularities. To top it off, every event also brings new servants to the gacha. What's that? You thought we were done talking about the gacha? The summon tab is where you want to spend most of your time, but you'll probably end up being gated by stupid things like not enough money. You'll see at least 2 pips and some arrows on the left and right side of the screen to denote that there are multiple different gachas that you can pull on. The Fate Grand Order fandom often refers to these as banners. This banner is referred to as the Story Gacha because it has servants relevant to the main story of Fate Grand Order. Over here is the Friend Point Gacha, which is the more accessible of the two. This is an event banner. Pay special attention to the dates on the banner because these are temporary and almost always last the same length as the event that brought them. These banners are important because they'll often add limited servants to the pool of potential servants that you can get in the gacha. These limited servants sometimes go months or years without another appearance, so you should think carefully when you decide if you want to spend your hard-earned Saint Courts. Don't take those rainbow rocks for granite. After a while, you'll notice that your servants aren't strong enough to clear some levels. Once this happens, you'll want to visit the Chaldea Gate section and navigate to the green daily quests portion. Here, you'll find 3 different types of quests: Ember Gathering, Class Training Grounds, and Enter the Treasure Vault. These are called daily quests because they rotate each day at 4 p.m. Pacific. Here's a schedule for what quests are available throughout the week. Ember Gathering is how you get these things that you feed to your servants to raise their servant level. Unlike other games, your servants' levels won't raise through combat experience alone, so you'll have to feed the hungry hippos to keep them swole. Class Training Grounds will drop these things that look like cookies. Don't worry about that for now. Finally, Enter the Treasure Vault is how you get QP, which is the universal currency for doing almost anything in the Enhancement tab. Generally, you should play the hardest version of the quest that you can feasibly clear. The higher AP cost quests give significantly better rewards, so you should focus on those as soon as you can. Let's talk about the game's stamina system, referred to as AP. I think that stands for action points, but I don't know that they ever actually tell us. The game will give you 1 AP every 5 IRL minutes. Each quest costs AP, and some cost more than others. You'll notice that some quests cost more AP than your AP bar can even hold. Whenever you clear a quest, you'll get Master Experience. With enough Master Experience, you'll level up and a few things will happen. 1, your AP bar will refill. This means that you can play for longer. 2, your AP bar will get bigger and you can hold more AP. This means that you can hold onto more AP at a time and you can take a longer break from the game while you're waiting for your AP to regenerate. Here's a quick tip to get fast progression. If you can clear the Ember Gathering quest that costs 40 AP, you'll be rewarded with a ton of Master Experience. If you grind this one quest, the game will give you so much Master Experience that you'll level up and you'll gain more AP than the quest will cost. You can ride this wave for a long time and you'll also get insane amounts of experience for your servants. This is how you get good really quickly. Speaking of experience, let's go to the Enhancement tab. Remember QP? Everything here costs QP. Raising a servant's level costs QP. Raising a servant's skill level costs QP. Combining craft essences costs QP. If you ever need more, go farm the 40 AP Vault daily for about 1 million QP per run. If you tap Servant, this is how you can feed your servant's embers to raise their level. Underneath that, you'll see Skill. Don't level any servant skills for a while and just trust me on this one. You can enhance craft essences too. This is useful because once you feed a craft essence a matching copy, it gets a little star right here. If you merge 4 identical craft essences to one master craft essence, you'll max limit break it and increase its effects significantly. Underneath that, there's an Ascension tab. Once a servant hits their level cap, you'll have to use in-game materials to raise it. Ascending a servant also unlocks more skills and outfits, and some of these skills can help you steamroll enemies or save your servants from certain death. Hidden down here are a few more tabs. Don't worry about command codes or palingenesis because the most important tab after Servant Enhancement is the Noble Phantasm Enhancement. If you get a duplicate copy of a servant, go to the Noble Phantasm Enhancement section and select the stronger servant, the one that's leveled. Then tap this box and choose the duplicate copy and hit the button at the bottom. Raising a servant's Noble Phantasm level raises how much damage they do with their Noble Phantasm, so you'll want to raise each servant's NP level even if you don't plan on using them anytime soon. Finally, let's go look at the shop tab. Here you can do things like burn servants or craft essences, but you really shouldn't do that. If you get an extra copy of a servant, you should go to the Enhanced tab to raise their Noble Phantasm level. You'll also see some other options, but you'll basically only be visiting this tab if you want to buy Saint Quartz. Now, before you put the game down, go over to this screen in your My Room and select Issue Transfer Number. The game will prompt you to make a password and generate an ID that you can use to transfer your account to another device. In case you accidentally uninstall the game or your FGO machine gets damaged, you'll want this. Save it, back it up, print it, mail it to yourself, and keep it somewhere safe. You should also know that Fate Grand Order is very generous with login bonuses, especially for new masters. Be sure to log in every day to get a ton of useful things like embers to level your servants, friend points to spend in the friend point gacha, free Saint Quartz, and more. You don't have to spend all of your AP every day if you don't want to, but you should make it a goal to log in before server reset at 9 PM Pacific every day. I'll be making a lot more videos to get more in-depth about most of these mechanics, and I need your help. Tell me what confuses you and let me know what you'd like to see in the next video by either leaving a comment on this video, contacting me through Twitter, or by joining my Discord server. Thanks for watching this far, and enjoy the game!